next topic, let me welcome Mr. Puneet Dudeja, Director of Business Development for Social Asia, WGSN. A round of applause for Mr. Dudeja, please. Mr. Puneet is a seasoned business leader with 15 years of experience and serves as Director of Business Development for South Asia at WGSN. He drives growth through strategic partnerships across industries, including beauty, fashion, retail, tech, interiors, and food. He is known for his entrepreneurial mindset and strategic acumen and a sought-after keynote speaker. The stage is all yours, Mr. Puneet.
Just a bit of introduction. I represent a business called WGSN. We are a trend forecasting business. We're the largest trend forecasting service looking at consumer and what they would need in the future. Now this panel, India to the World, are Indian brands, or rather I would say brands are moving away from export orientation to becoming brands of their own, moving to global markets. So I have my fellow panelists. I'm going to invite you one by one. So first of all, we have Ms. Geetika Bajaj, Business Head, Gifting, Institutional Sales and New Business Channels at Nicobar. So Geetika comes with a decade of experience with premium lifestyle brands, leading institutional partnerships, brand design, and looking at growth in India and global market. Welcome, Geetika. Mr. Tejas Murarka, Director, Legend Overseas, customized apparel and corporate gifting ecosystem, one of the leading players. So with a huge and deep understanding about market dynamics in customized clothing, gifting and uniform supplies. Mr. Tejas Murarka, please. You got your name there. Are we shifting again? No. You want to sit next to his... Now I'm going to next call Tarun, Mr. Tarun Joshi. He is a tech entrepreneur, investor, and founder of joint ventures Interflora and Masca. He's a DRDO scientist, the most intelligent person on the panel, I believe, who's worked on the Tejas flight control system and a lot of investments. Aeronautical engineer, so the most intelligent one in the panel. Last, we have Mr. Mohit Garg, CEO and co-founder of Assembly, who's worked with the luggage industry for the past decade, got a lot of manufacturing expertise, branding, design in the luggage space. And he looks at creativity to design travel products, looking at durability, storytelling, and a very strong market positioning. Welcome, Mohit. Now, what we've seen in the last few years is that India has transitioned from just being a global manufacturing hub to becoming a very large cultural exporter. There is a lot of advantages which as an market we have. We are the youngest economy. We are the fastest growing economy. There are a lot of merits to be part of India. But what we are essentially forgetting, one of the most culturally rooted economies, and there is an eye the world brings to us. So categories, be it fashion, beauty, food, and increasingly now, gifting, which comprises of all these categories, is beginning to reflect an Indian point of view, which will be a blend of craft, storytelling, and contemporary design. But the big question is, which I'm going to start and open it for the panel also, we as a gifting industry, the Indian gifting industry, truly ready to move from exporting products to export brands? That's the question we feel needs to be answered right now. So we'll take an opening thought. Geetika, will start with you. From a Nicobar's lens, what do you believe is the biggest shift required for an Indian gifting or a lifestyle brand to succeed globally today? Just a quick thought.
Yeah, I think we should get first ready with the processes and system so that we standardize the customer experience altogether. So, I mean, to build a trust in the market, customer experience is the most critical. Of course, product storytelling is, it has to be a blend of all three. But once we are ready to deliver a great customer experience, that trust build up, and that's when the market would be ready.
Tarun? Now the platform IGP.
So,
It's just to add on. So do you think the Indian gifting behavior travels well internationally, or there is an emotional motivation which has a more significant across markets? Because your business represents that element.
yeah, so I'll give some examples which will set the context for everyone. See, IGP is present in almost about 156 countries, right? So consumers from 156 countries come on the platform. Now they come on the platform to buy a product for themselves or send it to someone else. Predominantly because they are NRIs, they like to send it to India. But to touch upon your culture, once someone stays in another geography, even if it is an Indian, for a prolonged time of more than 3-4 years, they start thinking and behaving in the mix where there is Indian traditional thought process, but also the taste buds change to the country where they are. Including, I would give a simple example that for the first 2-3 years, people continue to use their Indian credit cards or debit cards to actually make payments when they're even entering an Indian website. But later they essentially start thinking globally or thinking like that they're residents of that particular country. And that is what I guess each brand or platform like ours, they need to essentially get it. The base products, if you see, continue to be the same, right? So even if it is Christmas, it will have similar base products. But the way they are assembled to make it into a gift-worthy product, right, is what I call as like understanding of that core market and basically moving from products to brands.
Perfect. Mohit, assembly is known as a design-led and experience-driven concept. So do Indian aesthetics translate easily into global markets, or do you think they require reinterpretation?
I think as soon as it's authentic and refined to its core, it should work. I think otherwise there's no identity to the brand. I think it's very important if there's a, let's say, we have seen Kolhapur being inspired by a lot of, one luxury brand, and now people are talking about, including I think LV took a design of a auto rickshaw and modified it into handbag design. So I think it's very important to be authentic, and that's when people start withdrawing a lot of attention and inspiration from you. So I think I would say being authentic and refined to your core gives you identity, and that's what should be the differentiating factor when it comes to being cultural.
So being authentic is the key for you. Tejas, from your experience with legends, now I want rather everybody's spoken about strength. So what's a common misconception Indian brands have when they think about going global?
In our industry, apparel already being the strength of India. India has been very strong in manufacturing and exports of apparel for decades now. But the common misconception that brands or manufacturers like me have when they actually want to go global is that they don't have the capability or the credentials to match a manufacturer or a brand from overseas. That can be from Middle East or Far East, Southeast Asia or US. So that's the misconception. Having said that, India leads in technology as far as technology in apparel manufacturing is concerned. They are at par with any country globally. So it's a mindset. It's a misconception. It's also a mindset that needs to change. So which will definitely make brands and gifting companies globally competitive.
Now let's look at some mindset. So there is always a thought about India being culturally more relevant. There is a lot of focus on culture going to our roots as thing, but there is a difference in the commercial reality of it. So Geetika, will come back to you. While as brands we are now drawing heavily from our heritage and craft, how do you balance being authentically Indian while ensuring that the product doesn't feel too, let's say, ethnic for the global consumer?
So India is known for its craft and heritage, of course, and handicraft being one of the most important contributor. But the world has changed. Indians have changed. I mean, we're not talking about, 100 years back, but now Indians are well traveled. I mean, they know what is happening around the world. They know what kind of global brands, quality that exist in the market. So they are open to those brands now which are globally relevant. So I feel that's where the space is, and that's what Nicobar is actually trying to make. That we want to be a mindful brand, which is which is Indian, but and has the Indian roots, but still making a product which is globally relevant. So that's what I think we should strive for, so that we become a global, exporter of brands, not just products.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you say confidently that there are other brands, so like since it's Nicobar's thing, do you think other brands are also following a similar trajectory?
Yes, there are many. I mean, India represents a lot of rituals, and brands like Kama Ayurveda, the brands like maybe, Sabyasachi, Anita Dongre. So they're all making products which are globally relevant. They're well, respected in the global, globally across the countries, and they're not just we don't call them an Indian brand anymore.
Yeah.
They're global brands. Yeah.
Now coming to global brands, Mohit, just asking a quick one. So do you believe these global consumers, let's not call them Indian, international, the global consumers, are they now actively seeking cultural specificity, or do they still prefer a universal, let's say minimal design language when it comes to products?
I think they're different customers for different need. I think, and also brand would have their own USP, right? If I think if a brand is built on a USP of design, then they have to be relevant to design sense of culture or identity. For example, Good Earth and Kama Ayurveda. And I think then there are brands who are relevant because of the scale they have achieved, because of the name they have made in the market, because of the standard supply chain, great customer service. I think IGP has done great work in that space. And in global name, I think IKEA and Decathlon would have done amazing work in that space. So I think, again, different countries accept different emotion. One is design, second could be just the availability part of it, having the trust on the quality and the standardization can make sense to the whole supply chain, the demand relation to it.
Perfect. Tejas, let's just look at some go-to-market challenges when it comes to taking these brands abroad. You've worked with a lot of international buyers. So again, I'm going to come to you with all the negatives, the misconceptions and all. So where do you think our brands are falling short when trying to enter these global markets? Some key aspects which one needs to really look at.
I would say it's really the experience, the customer experience. Now that encompasses a lot of things, right from communication to how we conduct business with people. Product quality is one thing. India is great at making good quality. Consistency in quality is one thing, where I feel we fall short. A lot of Indian manufacturers fall short, but things are definitely changing. Even small manufacturers, SMEs, they are adapting technology at an unprecedented level. So all in all, what I feel is the customer experience. That's a very important part. If we can offer a very good experience to the customer, they would definitely consider, and people are considering India as an alternate option to similar countries like China, Vietnam, Cambodia. But the reason that holds them back from actually going all out to India is trust and credibility. So if we can build that up, I think that's a winner.
Geetika has a point to say.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
please.
So I believe one important point that should be added is storytelling. We are good at building products, but we are not good at telling stories. So once we get better at telling stories, I think we are a winner. Yeah.
So I think from storytelling, I'm going to ask Tarun, I'm going to bring you in. While we're scaling across geographies, how important is localization Should brands start adapting to each market because then you tell the story which is really on ground? Or do you still think that we should double down on a strong, consistent identity which works well across all?
So we have experienced that localization is extremely important, right? When we first went to Dubai, most people, like, our experience was, don't take India to Dubai, take part India to Dubai and localize yourself with those sort of taste buds. Because let's think about it, and specific to gifting, right? Like, if I were to just in 1 minute dissect what is gifting in India, gifting in India is essentially a lot of private occasions because we celebrate a lot of birthdays, but in a very different way. So we consume so much huge number of cakes, right? But not every other part of the world consumes so many cakes, right? We bring in our birthdays at midnight. People like to bring in their birthdays early morning, right? Which means the preference of the product or the kind of service that they will take would be very, very different. The color tastes, for example, right now in Dubai, Ramadan is going on and Eid would happen. That means there is a natural preference towards green as a color, right? Now you may have a very beautiful product, but that may not work very well in India. So I think that the intricacies of your product, the design language of your product, if it is blended extremely well with that local, even the storytelling will start coming together. Otherwise, both of them would be extremely disconnected.
No, absolutely agree with that. I think localization becomes important and understanding of that consumer is utmost, and that's where I think the opportunities are also lying for gifting as a segment, and this is across any category you guys are dealing with. Each product, and this is not only gifting, forget gifting, I would rather say selling any product needs a lot more research about the end consumer you're reaching out to. So thank you so much for saying that, Tarun. Now how do we build a brand? You know, we mentioned that from exporter we need to build a brand. So Mohit, historically we have excelled at exporting private label goods. Now coming to the main question which I started this conversation. So what capabilities, and let's stick to gifting as a segment, Indian brands need to develop in order to compete with these established global lifestyle brands? And they have a huge advantage. They started way early than we even started thinking gifting as a serious sector.
Right. Nee, I think there are 3-4 capabilities which can make India when to go global. I think to start with, I think design. To start with, I think if we have succeeded in manufacturing, I think there is a lot of element needed to make it aesthetically very pleasing, and also functionally. I think it's very important to be very thoughtful about consumers' behavior, and I think that's what we're talking about, right? Knowing the market from their consumers' perspective. If let's say Australia has a certain type of colors which are needed, it needs to be understood through data, and I think that's where WGSN also come in the picture. It's very important to know the trend and how consumers think about. So having the data and sense of design, that is the first capability. I think second is, I think supply chain has been a little bit weak. A lot of people kind of hustle through understanding how do we, let's say if something needs to go to some other country in a certain way at the right cost. I think cracking that supply chain is very important, where let's say a cost of part load would be much expensive than a full container. So I think going through a phase where how India has evolved into logistics over time by companies like Delivery and all the companies, there has to be logistics which are thinking about global market. I think supply chain could be second. And third is, I do feel that India has not started, recently started exploring premium products as a core category. So I think while we are moving to premium, we also have to understand that how do we add a lot of durability and functionality to the product core so that it becomes a ready product to go global now. So I think these are the 3 things which I think that over time, which can make all the brands to go global.
Geetika, you mentioned storytelling in the previous one. We also heard about experience and design. So what is global success? Is it more about the product, or actually it is about storytelling and experience design? And this is from an Indian context, particularly for Indian brands.
See, I believe all 3 are important. Product has to definitely win. I mean, product quality, if it is not worth using, it doesn't, I mean, storytelling and everything comes later. But product quality is very, very critical. Then comes storytelling. Are we able to communicate what we are building, what we are making, or not? That is the second part. Then comes customer experience. If we are able to consistently deliver the same experience over and over again to the same customer, then we win the customer for life. So it's very critical that all three parameters are taken care. And of course, I mean, when we are building a brand, then we don't have to, forget the roots. So when, all four of these things, I think roots you missed. So if you include, sticking to the roots, you are a winner. That's how I think the brands can be built. Yeah.
No, just this off. I'll move to a future outlook later. Just one thought from each one of you, starting with Tarun. With the current scenario, the way we are, and specifically from a gifting segment, not any particular segment, be it apparel or beauty or home, luggage, etc., but overall sentiments, do you think there is work happening by Indian brands to take themselves abroad? There are a lot of avenues available. I'm going to come to commercialization and some more future outlook. But do you think work is happening right now with the way products are being developed? Do you think people are focusing on that?
So, it all happens from demand, right? I don't think so ever it has happened that requirement for premium products, diversification of manufacturing from China, Korea, Vietnam to now looking at India very seriously. Platforms like Amazon, right, or to some extent what we are trying to do, they basically providing that kind of demand system to Indian brands from a global landscape, right? Because that lens is opening, they are essentially, see, demand pushes Indians more than anything else, right? If there is demand, we will basically go down to any level and probably scale things up in the biggest way. So what I look at is, in the last at least 10, 15, 20 years, I have not seen a better demand scenario for Indian brands from the global market, whether it is to source or whether it is to list on global platforms, right? Or to participate into like the best of the places. So that's the way I look at it, that yes, it's the best time I think I have ever seen.
But are we encashing on it? Anyone? Do you think brands are prepared for it? Most of the manufacturers, I would say, are they ready for it?
Across segments, if you see, that's what everybody is doing. Like, see fashion designers like she mentioned, Sabyasachi, Manish Malhotra. We have never seen the number of overseas stores getting opened by any of these people, right? If you see again the number of manufacturers in gifting as a segment who are participating in international exhibitions and trying to figure out even acquisition of brands outside where they think that there is a lot of design philosophy I can adopt by buying a brand, right, has never happened. So yes, people are encashing like anything.
Where will the scaling happen for Indian brands? Since you mentioned a bit about avenues being opened, would it be via marketplaces, D2C, or do you see retail partnerships growing? What you've seen with experience?
See, gifting in itself is like mini Amazon, right? It happens across categories. What the ecosystem requires is more avenues which are brand or category agnostic platforms. Now, even if you look at the emergence of quick commerce has basically provided another channel for consumers to buy gifts from. Right? They may have a very different taste, but they were different, but it opened up a channel because it catered to a segment which was saying, I have forgotten and I would have otherwise lived through it without actually purchasing, but I still, because the option was available, I ended up making a purchase. So what is required is more and more avenues which are a combination of platforms which have their own unique selling propositions and therefore acquiring consumers and would be great for brands.
Now, to all four of you, anyone can start. Where we're looking at the topic is Indian gifting brands as segments going to the world. But the world is looking at India because of the large consumption economy which we bring in. Exporters in many categories have started their own domestic brands. So do you think as brands, specifically in the gifting space, there are more opportunities to be developed here and abroad? Maybe Tejas, you want to start with this?
Then so if I understand correctly, what you mean is
Focus-wise.
Sorry?
Focus-wise, the potential for brands. Like we are talking about taking them abroad, but we are also seeing there is a demand here. Do you think we should then rather just focus in India?
Yeah, so what you're saying is very right. India as a country, a population of over 130 crore. I think what the gifting industry currently is doing is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot of penetration still to happen in the gifting industry with, corporate gifting industry in India is very unorganized at the moment. Okay, so there is a lot of potential to organize it. There are very few organized players. Adaption of technology, getting organized, putting systems and processes into place, as she rightly said in the start of the conversation. So definitely the potential in India is huge. Unless we cater to that potential, having business in India, not catering to that potential and looking at overseas customers is, in a way, I would say, you're losing the opportunity in India that you have.
But why create boundaries?
Yeah, I'm not saying to create boundaries. I am not saying that you should limit yourself, but this can change from product to product, brand to brand also. So
I believe as you rightly said, it depends from product to product and brand to brand. But products, we should start making products which are globally relevant. That would obviously, then there are no boundaries required. There are few products, of course, there are localization required, as Tarun rightly said, in some of the products, but not in, like in lifestyle space. Or, so you don't have to make products which are just relevant to India. The product should be, the design language should be globally relevant. Then there are no boundaries, I believe.
So I'll again ask, global first or India first? What will be your take?
it's
Very
again
diplomatic. Both of you have given a very diplomatic answer.
I think India should be first because we have got population, we have got people who have got disposable income to spend. We have people who aspire to buy brands. People are emotionally buying so many categories. From need to aspiration, I think India is a market where you can explore any category which is need-based and aspiration-based, including luxury. So definitely, I think while we are from India, I think we feel that this is a latent value we already have right now, and we should go about that. And as soon as we are good at in our category, we are good with our brand, good with our consumer behavior, we should think global as soon as we think that we have acquired enough users and consumer behavior for our kind of target audience.
Tarun, your take?
Have a 80-20 split. 80% should be India focus, predominantly because this will be your volume driver. This is your growth engine. Every other part of the world is not growing as fast as India would grow in gifting. 20% keep your focus outside because of two predominant reasons. Number one, on a scale of premiumization, right? While each of the brands, each of the product and categories, we want to do wonders and create great products, right? But the Indian consumer is still not evolved enough to pay that much money, right? Which restricts each brand's ability to produce a product as they would themselves like to be produced and provided in the market. The global market allows you to do that. The second, the systems and processes that are set between global consumers, not only B2C consumers, but even brands who are asking for corporate gifts, right? How many times has it happened that any of us as brands have gone to a corporate consumer and the corporate consumer says, no, first, before you come to me, this is my Diwali mood board, this is my color philosophy, this is exactly what I want to do, now come back to me with this, right, very relevant product portfolio. Whereas if you go globally, all that is so set well. So that teaches us and therefore we can educate the market better.
Perfect. So yeah, 80-20 split is what you recommend. We're running short on time. So one last thought. You've already mentioned the Indian consumer may not be evolved enough to look at so many other solutions. So then it puts a tricky thought to our topic, that is India ready for the world? So our thought process is the world is now aiming at India. We are being ready for the world, and globalization is very, very critical here. Selling a global product is there. So one key take from each one of you, from your specific segments, about understanding of the Indian consumer first versus global. What significant change, and this is not to do with gifting, but overall experience. There are two drastic consumers cohorts. What we have in India is a combination of elders, the boomers, dictating terms for the Gen Zs who are not ready to listen to the boomers. They're vice versa dictating terms. And eventually, the family is where it gets involved when it comes to gifting in majority of the occasions. So one world in terms of the Indian consumers versus global, the challenge to just address, which ones is more difficult or which one is more easy?
The Indian consumer is very difficult. Global consumer is much easy.
Easy.
I would say because globally they appreciate quality and they pay for it. I would sum it up like that, which kind of is missing in India. The Indian consumer is gradually getting used to it. You know, with disposable incomes going up, they are gradually getting used to spending money. But I would say a global consumer is much more comfortable.
Geetika, your take?
I think, as I previously also mentioned, India is traveling everywhere. I mean, Indians are there in Dubai, in UK, US, everywhere. They are taking the brands outside. I would want to stick to those Indians who are present anywhere and everywhere. So Indians first, India later, maybe. Yeah.
Indians front everywhere.
Yeah, Indians front everywhere.
Tarun, which consumers are more difficult, the Indian ones or the global? Yeah, that's what
Indian-
or easy.
इंडियन कंज्यूमर बहुत आसान है यार, चॉइस ही नहीं है उसके पास में, अभी सीख रहा है वो तो यार. उसका बजट होता है 1000-1200, वो बोलता है उसमें लाके दे दो यार, 10 ऑप्शन दे दोगे चूज कर लेगा. ग्लोबल कंज्यूमर नहीं छोड़ने वाला तू.
So easy to sell in India.
Of course it is so easy.
मुश्किल हो रहा है.
I think global customers are analytical in what they're buying. Indian customer analytical as well as emotional when they're buying. So I think you need to serve both the agendas to them. कि यार मतलब whether it's worth paying for this money or not, whether it's satisfying me emotionally or not, whether I'm getting inspired or whether my colleagues will like it or not, peer pressure. There's so many factors when it comes to buying any category.
You were saying something, Tejas?
Indian consumer is very demanding, and in a way it is good for the industry because that helps us to improve ourselves, our services, our products, everything. So what I said earlier was from a different perspective. Again, it varies from industry to industry, but for a brand or for an industry or for a company which really wants to scale up on quality, from that perspective I said that a global consumer is much more easier and an Indian consumer is difficult.
Perfect. I think we've just last 10 seconds. So just to sum it up, I think thank you so much everyone. Really, really valued and valuable inputs for everybody there. So I think one thing is clear, that we really need to take branding, or let's say building brands, thinking of quality, thinking of experiences. Whether we take Indian brands global, we start with India first and move to the world. The idea is to understand that product development and gifting as a segment really needs us to think a little more from design. So design thinking as a concept has to be evolved at each and every level of the organization. Be it India, you take a global, yes, we'll buy at 1,000 rupees in India, it will give us volume, but then the creative aspect of gifting is when you get value out of what you have created. It's an experience. Gifting is not a product, it's an experience of different products, be it apparel, be it beauty, be it luggage, be it small decorative. It's an experience which you build in. And to get value for that experience, if we have to take our product to the world, we must look at it at the same level as we look in India. But yes, we have plethora of opportunities, but the idea is to bringing a lot more thinking to an industry, that yes, there is an ecosystem which can be a bit more organized than it is now, which I personally feel we are lacking. There are a lot of avenues available. Tarun rightly mentioned the marketplace is available, DTC channels available, and the world is opening up to us. So yes, it's a good time for India to go to the world, or rather include India within that world, and go to the world. Absolutely, please.
Even if it is not the right time for Indian brands and companies to go global, it is the best time to start
Thinking.
preparing for it.
Absolutely.
With the government's push on manufacturing and make in India, and with the global markets opening up, with all the free trade agreements happening, it is no better time for Indian brands and companies to start preparing themselves. And even if they don't go global, this will definitely help you improve processes, systems,
Yeah, the
qualities,
ecosystem.
and standards in your own company. So I would say this is the right time to start preparing for it.
So let's take it out to the world then, who we are. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, panelists, for your time. Thank you so much, audience. Do we take questions?
हेलो एवरीवन, माय नेम इज़ रोहन, आई एम फ्रॉम क्यूट से इंडिया एंड हमारा स्टार्टअप है लाइक 3 साल से गिफ्टिंग में, बट लाइक पिछले 1 साल से हम उसका जो टर्नओवर है वो कॉन्स्टेंटली वो सेम ही रहता है, तो उसको अगर स्केल करना है लाइक आईजीपी की तरह तो कैसे करना चाहिए?
किस कैटेगरी में?
गिफ्टिंग, लाइक कस्टमाइज गिफ्टिंग।
सॉरी क्या नहीं आओ यार, बिल्कुल अच्छे से आओ। सॉरी, व्हाट इज द ब्रांड दैट यू रन?
क्यूट सी इंडिया।
क्यूट सी इंडिया, क्या बनाते हैं
हम कस्टमाइज मेमेंटोज और गिफ्ट्स बनाते हैं लाइक फोटो कटआउट्स एंड ऑल।
सो कस्टमाइज मोमेंटोस फोटो रिलेटेड प्रोडक्ट्स का इंडिया में मार्केट साइज कम से कम 1000 करोड़ का है, राइट? आप कितना करते हो?
हम तो बहुत स्टार्टिंग स्टेप।
अरे कितना, वही तो पूछ रहा हूँ। तो डिमांड तो है, राइट? मतलब मेरे ख्याल से 200 करोड़ का तो अमेजोन बेचता है खाली, B2C को, कॉर्पोरेट को छोड़ भी दो, राइट? सो द क्वेश्चन टू यू इज कि यार क्या आप उस मार्केट के पीछे जी जान लगा के पीछे पड़ रहे हो या नहीं पड़ रहे हो? क्योंकि सर ने भी जो बात बोली, बट एक बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस जो आ गया है वो ये आ गया है कि इंडिया में पहले गिफ्टिंग मतलब खाली कॉर्पोरेट गिफ्टिंग होता था, अभी बहुत बड़ा सेगमेंट जो है वो पर्सनल गिफ्टिंग हो गया, राइट? जो कभी पहले इतना उठा नहीं था। अगर आप देखोगे कुल मिला के हिंदुस्तान में 10 करोड़ लोग हैं जो साल का ऑलमोस्ट 6-7 हज़ार रुपये खर्चा करते हैं, 10 करोड़ लोग गिफ्टिंग की तरफ, और उसमें पर्सनलाइज प्रोडक्ट आते हैं। ये पहले कभी एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता था, और ये वो लोग हैं जो अभी पैसा कमाना जिन्होंने 3-4 साल पहले ही चालू किया है। तो गो आफ्टर द राइट पीपल, लिस्ट योरसेल्फ ऑन द राइट प्लेटफॉर्म्स। आपको अपना प्लेटफॉर्म बनाना है, चैनल बनाना है या ब्रांड बनाना है, आप डिसाइड कर लो। बाजार तो बड़ा है,
टाइम लगेगा ब्रांड बनने में। मतलब हम तो इतने ब्रांड से, वी वर्क विद सो मेनी ब्रांड स्टार्टअप आपकी तरह, सबका स्ट्रगल यही है कि हमारा सेल्स नहीं हो रहा। इतनी जल्दी सेल्स आएगी नहीं, पुराने धुरंधर बैठे हुए हैं, वो अभी जाएंगे नहीं। एक्सपोर्टर हैं, वो कैपेसिटी के साथ आएंगे ब्रांड बनाने, वो 100 प्रोडक्ट लिस्ट करेंगे और खरीदना बिल्कुल इज राइट। जो 3-4 साल पुराना कंज्यूमर है खरीदना शुरू करा है, वो ही इस इंडस्ट्री को आगे ले जाएगा। जेन ज़ी, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, द यंगर जेन ज़ी, और गिफ्टिंग 600 हज़ार, आई थिंक उनका स्पेंड तो ज़्यादा होता है द यंगर वन का, वो सोचता नहीं है।
सो आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट एवरेज फॉर 10 करोड़ पीपल, राइट? मतलब छोटा सा एग्जांपल देखो यार, 3 साल में ना सीक्रेट सेंटा दिवाली से बड़ा हो जाएगा इंडिया में।
हो चुका है। अरे क्रिसमस बहुत बड़ा हो गया है, ब्लैक फ्राइडे इज बिग, इवन अल्फास, द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन, मतलब लोग जेनजी करते हैं, जेनजीज दे विल रिमेन पुअर बिकॉज मिलेनियल्स विल गेट रिचर। अल्फास आर द वन जिनके पेरेंट्स मिलेनियल्स हैं, सारा खर्चा उनसे करवाएंगे। क्रिसमस के अंदर कितने घर हैं जहाँ पे आप बात करो, एटलीस्ट इन मेट्रोज एंड टीयर 1 टीयर 2 टाउन्स, क्रिसमस ट्री लगना शुरू हो गया है, इररिस्पेक्टिव कौन सा रिलीजन है, और गिफ्ट चाहिए। Children have started writing क्योंकि स्कूल में भी सिखाया जा रहा है, it's an important element. So these are actually drivers for those personal gifting spaces. Opportunity बहुत है, but I think right platforms is what you need to put yourself in.
Thank
And
you so
I
much.
think we've
Thank you.
ran short of a lot of time, 14
Yeah, I think now we'll wrap up this session.
सर AI तो enabler है, बिल्कुल आएगा सर, AI enabler है, creativity लेकर आएगा। मतलब I am तो a firm believer of AI. See, गिफ्टिंग इज फिजिकल, AI गिफ्ट तो रिप्लेस कर नहीं देगा, बट AI आपको एक्चुअली बेटर प्रोडक्ट बनाने के लिए इंस्पायर कर सकता है। AI टूल्स यूज करके आप मोर एफिशिएंट हो सकते हो, मोर प्रोडक्टिव हो सकते हो। ब्रांडिंग नहीं सर, प्रोडक्ट क्रिएशन में भी काम आएगा। बिल्कुल सर, AI एज अ इनेबलर हर इंडस्ट्री में काम आने वाला है अगर उसको ढंग से यूटिलाइज करा जाए। अब AI समिट हमने करा है, लोगों को वर्कफोर्स को रिप्लेस करने के लिए नहीं करा है, उनको इनेबल करने के लिए। इट्स अ बिग इनेबलर राइट नाउ। अगर आप यूटिलाइज करना जानते हो, डरने की जरूरत है ही नहीं, यूज़ करो इसको. हाँ, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, panelists, for a wonderful and insightful conversation. I would like to call upon Ms. Priyanka Pawar, Group Exhibition Head, Textile and Consumer Shows, and member of Extended Board of Management, Messe Frankfurt, India, to felicitate the panel members. Mr. Tejas Murarka. Mr. Tarun Joshi. Mr. Mohit Garg. And our moderator for today, Mr. Puneet Dudeja. We will commence with the next session in the next 10 minutes. Yes, after the photograph. Thank you.